Are you an aspiring YouTuber or an individual who's already earning income from Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok? Hey, what's up guys? This is Gerard, back to you with another video on taxation. In this video, I'm going to talk about tax on social media influencers. So I personally went to the BIR and registered this YouTube channel. So if you're interested how I did it, comment down below. So RMC 97-2021 is specific to taxpayers who derive income from online platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and etc. as, but not limited to, social media influencers. For me, this comes to no surprise as research conducted by toy production firm Lego revealed that children could actually prefer a career as a YouTuber in contrast to some of the more traditional professions such as teacher, professional athlete, astronaut, and etc. Now, this research could be applicable in the Philippines. Nonetheless, we could say that the government is recognizing online content creators or social media influencers deriving income from social media platforms as a career, being a self-employed individual. The BIR defined social media influencers as all taxpayers, individuals or corporations receiving income, may it be cash or in kind, from any social media sites and platforms in exchange for services performed as vloggers or as influencer in general, and with the catch-all provision statement saying any other activities performed on such platforms. So any income derived from any activities within the purview of a social media influencer or any activities related thereto shall be covered by RMC 97-2021. Now do take note also of the provisions of RMC 60-2020. Now for individuals being a taxable social media influencer, they will be classified as self-employed individuals, whereas persons under an employer-employee relationship shall be classified as mixed income earners. On such a note, they will be liable for income taxes and applicable business taxes. Now for discussion on how to compute the income tax for a pure business income earner or a mixed income earner, you can check out my detailed discussions on such topics. In addition, for business taxes such as percentage tax and value-added tax, you can check out my other video discussions on those topics. I will link them all in the description below. Under the tax code, persons earning from business income have either the option on using itemized deduction or optional standard deduction. For those opting to use the itemized deduction, as a general rule, RMC 97-2021 gave several examples of business expenses that can be claimed as deductions, such as filming expense like camera gear, computer equipment used in video editing, subscription and software licensing fees like those using Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, depreciation expense of any depreciable equipment used, and others. Using YouTube as an example, under the YouTube Partner Program, a portion of the earnings before being given to the designated Google AdSense account is withheld representing taxes on royalties. This can be used as tax credit in computing tax liability later on. To better understand this, let's use the illustrative case of the RMC. In 2020, a social media influencer residing in the Philippines received $200,000 or 10 million pesos from Google as advertising revenue. Under the US tax law, payments from YouTube through the YPP are considered royalties which are generally subject to tax at 24%. The taxpayer did not receive any other income during the year. When filing the return, the taxpayer was able to claim 1 million as deduction and opted to avail of tax credit for taxes paid in the US. In our first question, what is the tax implication if the taxpayer does not inform the income payer, in this case Google, that the taxpayer is a resident of the Philippines? So the individual's earnings from YouTube will be subject to tax at the maximum rate of 24% if no benefit from a tax treaty is claimed. Google should therefore withhold $48,000 or 2.4 million before remitting the royalties to the taxpayer. In our second question, What is the tax implication if there was submission of tax information to Google and the taxpayer is proven to be a resident of the Philippines? Under the Philippine-US Tax Treaty, royalties derived by a resident of the Philippines may be taxable in the US but shall not exceed 15% of the gross amount of royalties. In this case, if the taxpayer claims the tax treaty, Google will impose a 15% tax rate. In our next question, how much should be allowed as tax credit for taxes paid in the US? The taxpayer shall only be allowed to claim as a tax credit against tax due in the Philippines the amount of 1.5 million. Generally, credit for taxes paid in foreign country shall be limited to that paid or accrued in the foreign country. However, if a treaty exists between the source state and the Philippines, but the taxpayer fails to claim the benefits, the tax credit that may be claimed shall be the limit to the tax that should have been paid in case the taxpayer claimed the benefit of the tax treaty. In our last question, the RMC said, whether or not the taxpayer claimed treaty benefit, it does not prevent the taxpayer from still declaring in the income tax return the royalties earned from YouTube and paying the remaining income tax due. In this illustration, the graduated income tax table was used to compute the tax due of $2,760,000. Notice that the taxpayer was able to claim the 1.5 taxes withheld, which was computed by multiplying 10 million by 15% based on the tax treaty. Therefore, the taxpayer is still liable to pay 1,260,000. Observe that the taxpayer can only use the graduated income tax table because the gross income is above the VAT threshold. Otherwise, percentage tax shall be applicable. Lastly, to avoid any penalties, take note of the required compliances such as business registration, keeping of books of accounts, issuance of official receipts or invoices, withholding of taxes if applicable, and others. And that's it. So as always, a huge thanks for watching. Do share this video to people who are earning or would like to earn from online platforms. In addition, you can watch my other video discussions in relation to all the things I mentioned here. And if you found this video very helpful, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because it helps me create more videos for you. So this is Gerard. Have a great day.